the world of spiritualism is so much greater than just England.
Yeah.
Mm.
So where did you go?
Actually, I went to Germany.
And that was your start, was it?
Not really. My start was a decade or so before, when I started to sit in a circle. I started to sit in a circle in my early 20s, and I'm 30 now, so
Oh,
no, I'm just kidding.
I know that one.
You do?
Yeah.
No, but anyway, I started. I really got into to mediumship and spiritualism about close to 20 years ago.
Yeah. But how did you become a reverend?
Well, I was trained by an international organization called International Council of Spiritualists, and they are based in Australia, but they had back then they had a center in Germany, and they came to Sweden to you know, they gave lectures and, you know, introduced their organization, and I went for a you know, a medium workshop weekend thing, and I kind of liked them, and I thought maybe I should ask them to help me to develop my mediumistic abilities. But they had other plans. They asked me if I was interested in becoming a priest or a pastor, and actually I was about to decline it, but actually Spirit came so close at that moment when I got the question. So something within me said yes, and I accepted it, and then I studied for 2 years.
That was a 2-year study for that. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, and after that I founded the church, and I contacted you because my idea from the beginning was to, just like you, I like cooperation.
Mm.
And I had seen you on the first season of Andarnas Makt.
Mm. Yeah. Strength of spirit. Yeah.
Yeah. So I contacted you through, I found you on internet. Internet wasn't that big back then.
Yeah.
But I found you, and and we started to talk.
Yeah.
And then you came over, and I mean, you have given so many workshops over the years, but I think the first one was on physical mediumship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were so many interesting things that I remember for some of our workshop. I always remember one of them because that, you know, I am like you know, I am a spiritualist through and through, and my mediumship is very important, extremely important for me. But I remember that I also have studied many other things related to the old tradition going back 300 years, because I wanted to find out, because it became very popular in Denmark, and it still is in Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. Exorcism, houses that's got spirit in, we call it hjemsøgte huse, whatever you call it, you know, that kind of thing is becoming so bloody popular. And I was absolutely, I was shocked by it, I have to say. So I wanted to take a step further back. I wanted to find out, well, how come that suddenly the whole of Scandinavian has become sort of spirit in the house, and everybody sort of have a house where there was spirit in. I mean, on one day when Einer Nielsen, which is Strength of Spirit, was on, there was no blooming houses that was haunted. But the day after you saw the first program, bloody the whole Scandinavian suddenly had all these ghosts in their houses and things like that. So I wanted to somehow go back in time. And I started to find out, well, how did people protect themselves 300 years ago? Because surely spiritualism and haunted houses and so forth is not just like 20 years or 40 years or whatever. It has to go back. And then I was doing a research both from Iceland, because they have got their own tradition in Iceland and so forth. And I found out that they actually use things like metal as horseshoes, metal, iron. They used all sorts of things. And I thought that was fascinating. And I remember we went to that beautiful house, this manor house where you took me to the white manor house. And I always remember the guy, his name was Ivan.
Yes.
Ivan, that was his name. And I remember standing and giving a lecture upon how people in the past for haunted houses was using iron. And often it was iron horseshoes. And when I was finished with the lecture, I remember Ivan coming running into me and he said, "Oh my God, I enjoyed that." And I said, "Well, you weren't in the room." "No, but I stood outside listening," he said, to the door. And he then told me that when they bought this manor, he said he had like an entrance where we all went in. And he said there were some big flagstones there, he said, but it was all tipped sideways. So to be able to make the kind of, what can I say, sort that's a house. And you can see the big stones in the front of the house. Can you see it there? Yeah. Well, he said it was all sideways. So he had to get somebody in to lift it up, literally had to lift it up and have a look to see why has it sunk sideways kind of situation. So when he got his people in and they lifted it up and they looked down, they actually saw horseshoes of iron laid in a circle underneath the house. And the flagstone has been put on top of it.
Yeah, I remember that.
You remember? So I turned around and says, "There you are." I said, "Look, house protected." And I remember he was just so flabbergasted upon that. And I thought, yeah, there you go. But it was interesting to have actually talked about this. And then in the next things, the guy who actually has this big manor house then talks about it, what he found. So that's the same with you. I go back in time. I have to look. The same is to try to understand our work within the Nordic countries. And as I said, we do and have had fantastic mediums within the Nordic countries, and Iceland, of course, too, had some of the most fantastic physical mediums. So that's where I'm coming from that. But there has always been this kind of communication between Sweden and Denmark, where you had our mediums over in your place. We have shared loads of information with Sweden because that you also was part of that JRSF and so I'm still a member of it and so forth. So we still have that kind of, I can say, doorway. But then again, you know, we all have to explain to the people who don't come from the Nordic countries or from Scandinavia, you can take a boat over from Denmark or now a train, and it takes not long and you are in Sweden.
Yeah.
So our journeys are not that far away these days, which is great. But it has been absolutely great. But as I said, sorry.
I just want to say a few things, because some people doesn't seem to understand why people like you and me are so keen on the history of spiritualism and the history of mediumship. But the thing is, the more we understand about the history of mediumship, the more we understand our own mediumship.
Absolutely, 100%. Absolutely 100% in that. I think now, because I am dyslexic, so I find it very difficult in reading books or so forth. So I think that sometimes when they absolutely place a book in front of me and I'm trying to read what it's saying, they actually put me through that experience in which I have just bloom and read, and I found that fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
And let me ask you a question about your friends who you brought with you when we had these physical seances in Sweden. You said that those events started many people. And I just wanted to say one thing, because many people who consider themselves spiritual in general, not necessarily spiritualists, they kind of use the word belief, don't they? I believe in that. I believe in that.
Yeah, I think that.
And wait. And the thing is, with mediumship, good mental mediumship, any mediumship that is good, but especially physical mediumship, like the one you described that we had here, that makes you a knower, not a believer.
Yes, you know.
And that must be one of the goals for us, to become knowers, not believers.
Absolutely, totally agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely, totally.
Because it gives us a totally different power within to know.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that for my own part of my own mediumship, now I had done it for nearly 50 years. I'm still only 33, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But I have done my one for 50 years now. And I remember that my mediumship really blossomed when I met two different kind of mediums in England. One of them was Rose Gladden, who I went out and did some exorcism with. The other one was Leslie Flint.
Mm-hmm.
I was lucky enough to be able to sit with him on many occasions. And just that, to hear the voices in a little room that looked like a cinema in Paddington, in London, sitting there, and this little man, little toppy man, sitting there, and all these voices starting to talk. Then I went, oh my God. And when you have that inner sanctuary within you and you're sitting, oh my God, does anybody realize what is happening here? And outside, people are walking about, minding their own business, driving or whatever. And here we're sitting in communication with something a lot of people can't see. I think that started my work more seriously, understanding, studying, looking, following, seeing, because I have to see with my eyes or hear because of my dyslexia. Those spirits have said to me, we are so happy that you are dyslexic, Marion, because it just means you can't read books, so we can teach you ourselves.
Yeah, precisely.
And that's interesting. So yeah, so it is just fascinating what we have actually got and what we two have seen together, because it wasn't only not in Sweden, because you also came over to England and we went up to Hull. No, where did we go up to? We went to see, was it Stuart Alexandra?
Yes.
It was Stuart, wasn't it? So we went up to see him. So we did go various different places. You came to one of my demonstration I had in Slagelse, outside Copenhagen, where we make the Nordic. That's when we two tried to put it all together. When we had the Nordic demonstration, where we had Kirsten Madderkrat, we had you from Sweden, we had me from Denmark, and tried to put it together then. And that was fascinating.
Yeah, do you still have the photos from that? Because I've lost them.
Probably have it somewhere. I had to look for them all. I have so many, but it was a great time. Because again, we try to cross over again with our knowledge. We try to sort of share in various different things. You know, I think that is absolutely brilliant when we can do that. Put this and knit it together, as I call it.
Yeah, let's see what we will do in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sorry.
No, I just wanted to say that I'm happy to see that you will have a talk about Rose Gladden soon.
Yeah.
That is correct, isn't it?
Yes, it is, yeah. Did you ever meet her?
No, but you told me about her.
Yeah. She was a very interesting lady, because her work in the sense of it was split into two. Though she was a very good medium, she was also a fantastic healer. And then she did her what we call exorcism, or whatever you want to call it. She had that also at the side. And I've got stories where your head can stand on your head, if you like, what I have seen myself. So I have always known that there is those two, what can I sort of say, form of almost like the dark side and the light side. I have to learn that in a very, very hard way by spirit, realizing that everything is not angels. And angels, yeah. You know, and please don't be an airy fairy. You have to be the medium you are, and realize the two sides of the coins. So I have been there, done it, and wearing a t-shirt, I have to say, and still experience. But so will you. I mean, as a reverend and as a teacher in Sweden, you still learn.
Nothing. Yeah, every day.
You go through with it, you learn. There is things that's given to you as a challenge, and you have to go through that. And sometimes I have sat back and I have said to myself, it's actually quite a lonely world sitting with all this. And you can get very, well, well, you can get very lonely, I have to say, because that if there's something that you want to talk about because you have experienced something, there's many people who wouldn't understand it. So you're quite alone. That, I don't know if you ever have found that, Andreas.
Not really, but I understand what you mean. It's not so many people who understand those kind of experiences. It's, I mean, they listen to you, but they can't fathom what has been going on.
I think a lot of people has got into what we call the new age also, and have taken it out of concepts a lot. You can't figure out that spirit communication is one thing and psychic experiences could be something else, or there's many different factors within spiritualism, both in mental, physically, healing, rescue circle, open circle, closed circle, all sorts of things like that.
Yeah, and it's so much misinformation floating around.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is. So what are you up to now?
Well, I do my job. I work for Spirit, and I go wherever Spirit leads me. At the moment, I do a lot of training for mediums and healers. But I also, the last couple of years, my interest has steered more and more into, you know, the eternal wisdom.
Yeah.
I'm very much into philosophy to understand the universe and understand life.
Yeah.
And understand myself.
Yeah.
And the laws of nature.
Yeah.
Because they are, I mean, the more you understand them, the more you understand your mediumship.
Yeah. Yeah.
They go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
And I mean, and we used to say that modern spiritualism was founded 1848, and it was all about proving survival, wasn't it?
Yes.
But I feel strongly that the spirit world wants us to understand more about the laws of nature, natural law.
Absolutely.
And moral law.
Yeah, absolutely. Here.
Because I mean, many people today understands or believes in an afterlife.
Yeah.
It's a total different culture than it was in the 1850s.
Absolutely. Here.
Yeah. So to me, in my understanding, spirit has kind of, the phase one is done, so to speak.
Yeah.
We continue to prove survival, but we also, I think all mediums need to understand the laws of the universe or the laws of nature.
Yeah. But again, there's not a lot written upon that or been taught about that or anything else like that. I do know that, I don't know, have you ever worked in Iceland?
No, I've never been to Iceland.
Yeah, I have worked in Iceland, and it's another topic I will come up with one another time. I have seen that force of nature. I have seen what we're talking about, which is quite fascinating when you're really into it. It's like talking about how did you do exorcism 300 years ago? Well, they used iron. That comes from the earth again. We're back into the nature of the earth again. In Iceland, I had the most incredible experiences in Iceland because I opened myself up to it and to nature itself, which was extraordinary. And that is where we are then leading ourselves into later on to see Sister Margaret, as you have met her, with her drums and her yoik. And she is again a nature girl from north of Norway and can tell incredible stories from there in which we both can. So
speaking of her, I remember one of your stories about being up north with the Sami people.
Yeah.
And it was raining.
Yes, that's a law of nature.
Exactly.
Yes. I was up there. Anybody who wants to hear this very quickly, okay. I was up in north and
I'm sorry to interrupt you because the time is running out. So 5 minutes.
Okay, quick, telling you. Okay, I was up in North Norway because I was doing a huge big demonstration. And when I was up there, it was just raining. I wanted to go up there because it was winter time. I wanted to see the Northern Light. That's what I wanted to see. I was so damn disappointed that there was no Northern Light So I went into my demonstration. I said, well, here I come all the way up here and no northern light like this. It's raining outside. Suddenly, a lot of people stood up, and I saw some people who had drums that went outside and saying, come out with us. And we went out, and I stood on, you can only sort of say, they stood there and they started to vroom, vroom, using their drums and start to drum. Suddenly, I looked around and it got colder and colder and colder and colder, and the rain went, it went. I phoned up Simon and said to Simon, what's the weather saying up here? And he told me, he said, it's raining. I said, no, it's not. He said, yes, it is. So I said, listen to what's happening. And he heard the drums on the telephone. Within less than 2 minutes, you suddenly looked up in the sky and you did this, and you could see the air had frozen. It was really getting cold. And what came over was the northern light, started to dance in the air. That only was there for about 25, 30 seconds. And suddenly the poor drummers stopped drumming, stood up, and it rained.
Mm. Mm. And that's
Can anybody explain that to me, please?
That is explainable, because that's ancient knowledge, just forgotten.
I know, but it was just fantastic to be able to be there to witness it. And you're telling people, like, now, don't be silly. You can't stop the rain. Well, I saw them stop it. Simon was on the telephone. I saw it. I saw the northern light, and it stopped raining. So again, it was just one of those many things that I have been allowed to experience. Yes, thank you for reminding myself of that one.
You're welcome.
So that's been lovely to talk to you again, Andrea. Yes. Even if it is over Skype or Zoom, what we run is wonderful. But I hope that when we have got all the corona finished with and all whatever it is, that we will all meet up, if it's in Denmark, Sweden, or even in England. I love to meet you again and be with you again.
Yeah, me too, really.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure speaking to you again. It's been a while.
Yes, it has. Absolutely. I mean, still speak very good English, so it's great. Thank you, Andreas.
Thank you, Marion.
Andreas and Marion, thank you very much both for this almost 50 minutes of talk not with the spirit, but about spirit. It was actually very interesting to hear you talk about nature, the law of nature, Andreas, because Marion and I have had discussions about nature, what nature is trying to tell us right now in this situation all the world is in right now. Marion, you reminded when Andreas told us this evening about his belief or his knowledge about it. You said something about internal wisdom to understand the universe, law of nature, and spirit want us to have nature close to us.
Yes.
And you said the same words for about 15 days ago to me. So I think it's a little connection there.
It's a connection again.
It is. You're talking, you're using the same language. It was so great to hear, Andreas. So it was very interesting. But how would you describe the situation that the spirits are telling you about the nature, the law of nature? You have 2 seconds, or 4 minutes, sorry, 4 minutes, Andreas.
I ask spirit to help me understand, and then I'm aware of their teachings in everyday life.
How could that be in the teaching every day? Is that small situations, thoughts, or anything that comes to you?
Yeah, it can be that let's say that I always almost think about stuff that is related to life and nature and myself and why, why.
Okay.
And I ask spirit, please help me to understand this. And then it can take a day, or it can take a week or a month sometimes. And then I'm in a situation where I suddenly are shown or just understand within. I get an answer. You see what I mean?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Thank you.
I mean, life is the greatest teacher, isn't it?
It is, really.
Mm.
No, I was just curious about it, so thank you very much again, Andreas, and
Thank
Marion,
you.
you too. And if our listeners or viewers tonight want to comment or ask us anything down here on Facebook in the comment field, kommentarfelt, yes, down there, you can scribe something and we will try to answer you if you have any questions. So again, who wants the last word right now? Oh, I send it over to you.
Well, good night.
Good night. Hope to see you soon again, Andreas. Marion,
Yeah.
thank you very much for tonight. And just sit and relax, and we will broadcast this on Marion International Facebook podcast in about 5 or 10 minutes. So it'll be there. Thank you very much. So
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
bye.